What's going on, guys? It's your boy Burrow77 coming to you live on Friday night with another Super Saturday slate of college hoops. We have 152 games tipping off starting at noon. We're going to get right into it with a little recap of how we did on Wednesday. Wednesday, we went 3-2. UMass -3. This line moved around a little bit on us. UMass at home was not able to handle their business like we kind of thought they would. So that home court magic isn't necessarily as powerful as we thought it was, and we move on. Bonnies, we get hooked on this one. Bonnies lose by 4 in a complete rock fight. It was one of the ugliest, slowest paced, least interesting games of basketball I've watched in quite some time. At some point, I believe Bonnies only had like 18 points with like 3 or 4 minutes left to go in the first half. They did end up making it close at the end and almost got us a backdoor cover, but it just didn't happen. VCU ends up getting us the win and the cover in a great game, and we are going to continue to talk about the A10 and VCU later in the show. The Toledo Rockets go into DeKalb and handle their business, covering the spread at -5.5. And then Boston College gets us a nice late cover over Va Tech and closes out and gets the 6.5 point spread cover, giving us a nice little 3-2 record on Wednesday. That nets us 0.45 units of profit. That takes the show over to 13-1-7, still minus 2.7 units since we started the show. Coming around nicely, though, starting to put some momentum together. Start of conference play is always a little bit tricky. We're finding out who's the real deal, what home courts, what away courts, little different forms on teams. It's coming together nicely, though, and we are starting to put some units back together. In 2024, we're 37-2-43 now for minus 3.68 units. On the season, we are 93-3-87 for plus 0.71 units. Just a reminder, I risk 0.5 units on plus 100 or better odds, and to return 0.5 units on minus 101 or shorter. Again, college basketball, very high volume, lots of bets, lots of action, especially now that college football and the NFL, we're done with Saturday football. Football's almost over. So if you're new to the video series, welcome. Appreciate you. Talking a lot of college hoops, and we're going to get right into it tonight, starting with Boston College taking on Notre Dame over in South Bend. It is a noon tip-off on ESPNU, and Boston College, Notre Dame, they're facing off for the second time. Notre Dame plays a heavy ACC conference schedule, even though they're still kind of an independent in football. I'm pretty sure they're full ACC tournament, ACC schedule in basketball. Anyway, it's the second head-to-head. BC won the first game in their building by 4 back on 115. It was a low-scoring rock fight. And BC, I don't think they covered the number there. I'm not sure what it was. I didn't find value in looking it up beforehand, but BC and Notre Dame have both played really tough schedules. BC, got us the cover against Va Tech on Wednesday when we talked about it on Tuesday. They've also lost the 2 games since playing Notre Dame in their last head-to-head. One was against UNC at home, where they did a very good job keeping that game close, ended up losing by 10. Almost covered the 6.5 there, but had some couldn't make a basket late. And then Va Tech, where they did cover. Notre Dame's streaky. They live and die by the three-pointer. All they do really is shoot outside shots. They don't get in the paint very much, and when they do, they're not successful at converting those baskets into points. They don't shoot free throws very well, and they don't rebound very well. So I like Boston College here because of their ability to step inside and make shots in the paint, their ability to draw contact, get to the free throw line. When they're at the free throw line, knock them down. And then they also just work the defensive glass really well. So Notre Dame's not going to get a lot of second chance points opportunities here. And if their three ball's not falling, they're going to struggle a lot throughout the day. Boston College, we got them on the money line at minus 120 over on PointsBet. I've seen this line going up to from minus 1.5 to minus 2.5. I'm comfortable taking this at minus 2.5 as well. I start to have a little bit of a hesitation on the minus 3. I think that's fine with the push. I'm not going to go out to minus 3.5 though. So I like Boston College here to take care of business on the road, get right a little bit, and then dive back into another Bears part of their ACC schedule. Keeping it moving, we are going to talk some Big East action. We have Seton Hall taking on Marquette on the road at 1 p.m. on FS1. Marquette is always going to be tough to play. They're always going to be tough to play in their building. They like to run. They have a lot of young freshmen, sophomores, and yes, a lot of them are returning from last season, which does increase, a little bit of their reliability, and they do have more experience with Shaka Smart in their system. Working together, playing as a team is a very competitive team in the Big East, and in the tournament last year, they probably washed out a round early or so, but together they can build on that. But Seton Hall is old. They start all seniors. They don't have a super deep rotation. They really only run 6 guys, sometimes 7. Marquette lost their 6-man, who was one of the best 6 men in NCAA. So that's kind of skinnied up their rotation a little bit. He ripped his ACL. So Marquette's kind of been figuring out their rotations a little bit, along with being younger. They just don't have as much experience as Hall, who, even though they have dropped their last 2 games, they've been very difficult games. They went to triple overtime at home versus Johns and ended up losing on a controversial somebody did or didn't step out on the baseline play. Went to a third overtime. It was a grueling match. And then they fell asleep against a Providence team that has been struggling, but has been consistently looking better and better. Even though they lost Bryce Hopkins, they're starting to get some performances on Ticket Games and some other guys down there that are stepping in. So Hall had a tough one there at home. Again, it was coming off of a triple overtime game. I do like them on the road here. I like that they are older. I like that they get to the paint. I like that they make their free throws. I like that they can control the clock. I like that they can slow the ball down. And I think this is a lot of points for a Shaka Smart coach team who is a certified asshole against the spread. And this isn't anything new. Going back to his days with Texas, Shaka Smart just doesn't cover big numbers. He doesn't cover big numbers, especially on the road as favorites. He doesn't cover big numbers at home as favorites. This is just a very big number. This is over 3 full 3-point possessions. I think this is too many points in a Big East battle that is going to be tooth and nails. I do think Marquette probably wins this, but Hall is very live anywhere. They're a very tough team. Like I said, they're coming off back-to-back losses. Both of them were very tough games that they were in. I don't take very much credit away from anything Hall's been doing. Marquette has been getting nice performances as well recently. I just think that they're not going to beat Hall by double digits. So we will keep it moving, and we are going to stay in the Big East because we have another excellent showdown between Villanova and Butler. We are going to back Butler at home on the money line here, 3 p.m. over on Fox Sports 1, because Butler is a home wagon. They lost to UConn in their building. They've gone to overtime a couple of times, but Butler manages to win, this building shows out. They have a bunch of talent there. You guys know, you hear me talk about him all the time. I'm a big fan of Posh Alexander and what he does at the point guard position. He was one of the only freshmen to win all Big East offensive and defensive players of the year as a freshman over at Johns. He's a transfer as a senior. He picks people's pockets. He defends super well. He steals the ball. He gets out in transition. He rebounds. He assists. He gets to the free throw line. He knocks him down at the free throw line with consistency. He has a pull-up, and he gets in to the rim, and he works the paint well. So both teams here are top 10 in the nation from the free throw line. There is no distinct edge here. They're both elite. That's something that the Big East is really good at. Both teams excel very well on the defensive end of the ball. They give a lot of effort, and they know that they can overcome scoring droughts by defending really, really hard. Nova has very little to no inside game, but Butler can finish at the rim. Villanova is going to live and die by the three-point line, and I think it's going to be very tough to go on the road and come away with a W in Butler's building playing like that, because both of these teams, even though they both shoot free throws super well, they also defend vertically and do not put the opposing team at the free throw line. So I think that any edge either team would have coming from the charity stripe is negated by the fact that these teams both defend super well. As I mentioned, I think turnovers are going to be a huge X factor here for Butler, who excels at turning you over and scoring fast break points in transition off of those turnovers. To try and negate that, Nova is going to try and slow the game down as much as possible. They want to play this a possession-based game. Every time Butler touches the ball, they need to touch the ball and they need to be scoring, and they're going to try and do it from deep. So I like Butler here because of the X factor when it comes to turnovers, because of the home court. And yeah, this is a rivalry match. Everything's a rivalry match now. We're deep into conference play. We're getting ready for conference tournaments coming up at the end of the month. Every game matters, and it matters a lot for your conference seed and whether or not you're going to make the big dance. I think Butler makes a statement here at home in their building and takes care of business versus Nova. We'll keep this moving right into the A10 conference, which in my opinion is one of the best mid-major conferences in the NCAA. They're up there with the Mountain West for me. They just play absolutely phenomenal basketball. We have Dayton on the road taking on Richmond at 6 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. We're going to back Dayton -2.5 here. Dayton is the cream of the crop in the A10, taking on Richmond, who I would say is probably their biggest contender. There's probably 5-6 teams I put in the second tier of this A10 conference, and they all play phenomenal basketball. We're going to get to a couple more of those teams a little bit later here in the show, but you guys know that we've been backing Richmond a lot, at home, away, as dogs, covering the number, winning outright on the money line spread. But Dayton's just the better team. They're only 2 wins better, but they're the better team. They're nationally ranked. Not that I always put a whole ton of stock in that, but they are a team that if they stay hot and they win a lot of games here down the stretch, is going to be super dangerous come conference time. I think both of these teams are going to be super dangerous, probably finishing 1-2 in their conference, and I think they both have legitimate shots at the big dance here. The difference in this game is both teams love to shoot the 3 ball. They are perimeter shooters. As we know, Richmond has really nice perimeter defense. So does Dayton. But Dayton also gets into the paint. When they do get into the paint, they convert those chances into buckets in an extremely high clip. They are able to finish at the rim. They're able to draw contact. They're able to get to the free throw line. They're able to knock down their free throws. And Richmond does not defend the paint well. So if their 3 ball's not shooting, the easy transition here is for Dayton to go slam the paint. And then if they can get Richmond to collapse in and try and defend the paint, that will open up their 3-ball shot. And that's kind of how I see this game going. I don't see a lot of other options besides the 3-ball from Richmond here. Yes, they do. Okay, they're just not big. They're not big in the paint. They have big bodies and they have tall guys, but they are trash at rebounding, which Dayton is going to take them to the woodshed on. Dayton's going to out-rebound this team all day. And if you can't rebound and you can't get to the paint and you can't draw contact and you can't score, I think it's going to be very tough to beat a team like Dayton. This is going to be a very low-scoring rock fight. It's a snail's pace of play. Dayton love to play slow. This is going a tight game here will not surprise me. I don't think Dayton completely blows Richmond out of the water. Like I said, this Richmond team is very good. I have a lot of respect for them. I like getting Dayton here without coughing up a full 3-point possession, because I think if Dayton's up by 1 or 2 late, Richmond thinks that they will be able to make it a game by fouling and trying to get the last possession and give themselves an opportunity to make a free 3-point ball to send the game to overtime. So I like Dayton here, -2.5, very key number for me. I would play -3, but I am not going to go to 3.5. I have a feeling that's where the market is going. So I would get on this early and kind of grab that 2.5 and hold on to it. Keeping it moving and keeping it in the A10, we are going to VCU at Davidson. I like this game a lot. You guys know we just took the Rams on the road -4.5. They got us a road favorite cover, which is tough to do in conference play. We did the same thing with Davidson versus SLU. And I think Davidson actually might have been a dog there, but whatever. They won outright. It doesn't matter. Rams on the road again, taking on Davidson, 8 p.m. CBS Sports Network. That'll follow the previous game we just talked about, Dayton-Richmond, right on the same channel. So it's great. You don't even have to change the station. But VCU has been good on the road, but they have only had one true road test, and it was going to George Mason, where they won outright, covered, and won. I want to say they won by 8. You've heard me talk about VCU from the charity stripe. They're 77-ish%. That's good enough for top 25 in the nation. You know how much of an emphasis I put on college teams that make their free throws. Davidson does not. That was one of the things I talked about last week as well, when they were on the road versus SLU. Davidson has also had some home struggles. Now, they've played very tough competition like Dayton. They hosted Dayton already. They played a URI team who I have a lot of respect for, but they lost outright in their own building too. In a game they probably should have won, and then they lost to Richmond. So, look, this Davidson team is scrappy. I do think they're tough. I think they're going to give VCU a run for their money in their own building here. But I like VCU better. They just do things, the little things better. Well, they get to the paint, they dominate in the paint, and they dominate on the defensive glass. Davidson's not going to get a lot of second chance points here. So if you can't get second chance baskets, you can't rebound, and you can't get to the free throw line and knock down your free throws, I think you're going to have an extremely tough time against a team that plays smothering defense, team basketball like VCU, who can slow the pace of the game, move the ball around, and have multiple offensive possessions and reset the shot clock, and then has the ability to finish and get the tough contested bucket. So give me VCU on the money line. I think they are going to end up around a -3 favorite here. I'm comfortable taking this inside the -3 number. The Rams just have been playing really good basketball. They get it done here on the road again at Davidson. And that is kind of all I have for you for the show on the detailed breakdowns. I do have some more leans. I am still waiting around for a lot of lines on mid-major games. There's 30 basketball games I cannot wait to watch tomorrow. starting at noon and going all the way until 10 p.m. There's just phenomenal college basketball across the board. So I'll list off the leans on the 15 I was able to find lines for here at the end. BC is taking on Notre Dame in Notre Dame over in South Bend. We're going to back BC on the money line here. Seton Hall is going on the road to Marquette. We're going to back Hall plus the points here, plus the 9.5. Shaka Smart, just his big, long history of not being able to cover the number and being a really upsetting team to back as a gambler. So give us Hall and the points. Nova at Butler. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to go into Butler and get a win. So give me the Bulldogs on the money line at minus 110. Love getting a square price on the home dogs there. Dayton at Richmond. Dayton is a top 25 team in the country. Richmond, I think, is very, very good. This is a top of the A10 matchup. Like I said, I think the A10 is an excellent conference that has been giving us excellent basketball all season. If you're a regular to the show, you know we talk A10 all the time. It's a really fun conference. So that said, we stuck with the A10, and we're taking VCU on the money line to get another outright road W at Davidson. And that is what we have for the breakdowns. Moving over to a little bit of the lean sheet. I like Georgia plus 7.5 at Florida. This is the world's largest cocktail party rivalry game in football. So in basketball, they're both playing very good as well. So this is going to be a rivalry. States share a border. They're very close proximity. It's going to be a fun game. This is too many points for the Bulldogs. Their pace of play is excellent. They live and die by the three. They play great defense. They're a fun team to watch. They've picked up their free throw percentage, and they've been effective with it. I would love to get this number at a +8 instead of a +7.5, and I'm kind of just waiting to see a little bit of what the market does here. Next up, UNC -6.5. At FSU, I've seen this walking out to -7 and -7.5 already. This is at 2 p.m. over on ESPN. I like the Tar Heels. I think the Tar Heels are, if not the best team in the country, one of the 3 best teams in the country. I think they are one of my favorite picks to win it all this season. I think the Tar Heels are playing phenomenal basketball. I don't respect FSU. Give me the Tar Heels to cover a big number on the road down in Tallahassee. I like Harvard plus 5.5 hosting Yale. So Yale is on the road in the Ivy League going to Harvard. This is a big time rivalry in the Ivy League. Harvard, both of these teams live and die by the three. It's going to be a tough matchup here, but home dogs bark. Give me the home dogs. I would love to get +6 instead of +5.5. So going to kind of let the market settle on that one. Another tough one we have is Auburn on the road at Mississippi State. That's at 3:30 p.m. over on the SEC network. I think Auburn bounced back after a tough road loss at Bama. That's such a crazy game. That's a huge, long-standing rivalry since Charles Barkley was at Auburn. And Bama is very good, but I think Auburn's much better than they showed there. They struggle to close, though. I'll tell you that right now. Auburn struggled to close when they faced adversity late in the second half. So Auburn, I think they kind of take care of their business here, and they clear Mississippi State by 7, 8, 9 points. So give me the -2.5. I don't think they'll have trouble closing this one. Clemson on the road taking on Duke. That's at 4 p.m. on ESPN. Yeah, Duke is really good. They're dumb impressive at home. They're really, really good. I think Clemson plays a little bit of that 2-3 zone that will give Duke problems. I think 7.5 is a big number. I would much prefer to see 8, 8.5, 9 here. If it walks out that way, I will be buying up some Clemson on the road to cover a big, big number later tomorrow afternoon. Utah State taking on Boise State. Boise State has a very tough building to play in. They had the longest undefeated home winning streak for a while this year. They coughed that up. Utah State, also a very tough building to play in, but they're on the road. I think Utah State's just playing the better basketball. Give me them plus over a full possession on the road here in the Mountain West at 4 p.m. Again, not on TV. It's a fucking crime that the Mountain West does not have a TV deal. Get them a TV deal. Kentucky on the road taking on Arkansas. Listen, Arkansas, I have a lot of respect for Muss and the Muss bus, but all the wheels on that bus are flat right now. UK minus 5.5. I think they win by double digits here. Arkansas is dead in the water. A couple of mid-major games I didn't have lines for, but I want to make mention, and even some major games that are going to be so tight that they didn't have lines for, that I'm going to mention that I think are going to be fun and that you should focus on is Fordham at Duquesne. I like Duquesne here, no lines, but this one's tipping off at 12:30 over on USA Network. Akron, the class right now of the MAC, taking on Miami of Ohio in Miami of Ohio, in-state rivalry in Ohio, obviously. Akron playing great basketball. I trust them to cover a pretty decent sized number here. Locally, for me, Central Michigan is coming to Western Michigan for an in-state home rivalry game. Western Michigan has been outstanding in MAC play, covering numbers against the spread, and I want to say they have taken a MAC loss, but they've excelled in MAC play, and they have. I've been to a couple of their home games. They have two really big dudes who play center and forward that go up, clean up the glass, get rebounds. They're a tough team to play, and they'll be fun to watch in that building, 1 p.m. over on ESPN+. Texas is on the road taking on BYU in another three-point shoot-off. You're going to get so sick of me saying this, but BYU needs to win that game. They have to win that game in their own building. Texas, not very good on the road, even though they've been a little bit better lately. Like BYU, that's a must-win game in the Big 12 for you, so do it. SIU on the road at Murray State. I think that one's going to be great. You know, I like the Salukis. Lipscomb on the road versus Stetson. Lipscomb is a very capable team of covering numbers as a favorite on the road, so keep an eye out for that. URI, George Mason. Like I said, URI is scrappy. I respect the shit out of Mason at home. Charlotte at Tulane. High Point at Winthrop. That's a great Big South matchup. Those are the top two teams in the Big South. Winthrop at home is very tough. I think High Point can get it done on the road, though. Missouri State coming off a massive win on the road at Valpo. So I think that game is going to be a lot of fun. Horizon League. Oakland at Milwaukee. Oakland's top of the Horizon League. Milwaukee is kind of turning their season around. And last but not least, there's a couple more games that I really like, but I'm running out of time here. I don't want to talk your ear off. JMU at App State. I think that's going to be another great mid-major battle at 6 p.m. over on ESPN too. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. I could talk college basketball with you guys all night, but I know that you're mostly here for the picks and a little bit of explanation about them. If you want to have more conversations about college basketball, or you want to talk about a game I didn't get to, or some of those mid-major games I didn't have numbers for, leave it down here in the comments. I promise you, I will come back and look. I will talk about them with you. I love college basketball. I watch a ton of it, so I'm always looking for people to talk to about it. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram too, where I do a lot of other college basketball content. Tweet me, get at me on Instagram. Always happy to talk about college basketball. I do soccer as well, especially in the mornings. So Saturdays are a super busy day for me. Be sure to check out my show with my friend at Young Leg over on 2 Foot Talk on YouTube. That's TWO Foot Talk. And then I also work with Bet US to do a Spanish La Liga show every weekend. We are coming off of another 3-2 weekend with some great games. We already started out the weekend 1-0. We took Almeria versus Alaves over 2.25 on the Asian handicap. Alves won 3-0, so we cashed that. So you can check that out on YouTube. Just type in BetUS La Liga. You'll find it right there. It's also on my Twitter, Instagram. You know where to find me. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I want to shout out to my boy Blondie from NIU, who I know is watching. My boy Money Mitch, who asked me to send him the link to the video. My boy Kobe from Discord. Everybody, Cup of Joe on Twitter and YouTube, who's always out here talking college hoops with me. I really appreciate it. I love the passion. I love the energy on college hoops. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Let's drink some beers. Let's enjoy our Friday night, and let's wake up tomorrow and win some bets. That's Talking Hoops with Oaks.